Understanding what it means to be Southeast Asian has a lot to do with how one thinks about themselves and in relationship to their neighbors.
It is time for Southeast Asians to produce work regardless of whether the West think it's important or not.
That itself is a very noble kind of work. You are actually fostering a form of identity, some kind of understanding of what Southeast Asia should be.
The Seasrep project has gathered scholars from different countries within Southeast Asia to increase the understanding of each other's academic work and exchange views and to develop a kind of a solidarity.
The Southeast Asian Studies Regional Exchange Program, Seasrep, was founded by 4 historians to promote the study of Southeast Asia by Southeast Asians. Professor Dato Dr. Shahril Talib was the first executive director of the Asia-Europe Institute at the University of Malaya. Dr. Charnvit Kasitsiri is director of Thammasat University and the secretary of the Foundation for the Promotion of Social Sciences and Humanities Textbooks Project. Dr. Taufik Abdullah is a retired professor of history at the Gadjah Mada University. He was chair of the Indonesian Institute of Sciences. Professor Maria Serena I. Diokno is professor of history at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. She currently chairs the National Historical Commission of the Philippines.
We worked very, very closely with 2 senior close friends of the region. They had an eye. They could see things that maybe the rest of us might miss. One of them is Ruth McVeigh. What Ruth did was to devise like a sub-program. If she thought your proposal was promising, then she would recommend and the committee would discuss and eventually agree on this to give you a grant. The second, who has sadly passed away, is Professor Yoneo Ishii, a very well-known scholar of Thai studies. Professor Ishii was very helpful in ensuring our long-standing relationship with our 2 partner funder organizations.
The Toyota and Japan Foundation were the first funders to support the Seasrep Foundation. Some specialized programs were also funded by the Korean Institute of Southeast Asian Studies and the Rockefeller Foundation.
We are in Asia and we had a kind of same experience, so we could have the same dream. We pursued that same dream, and in order to do so, I think trusting each other is a very important thing.
In order to achieve Seasrep's vision for Southeast Asia, 4 core programs were created.
The important program that Seasrep already done is the Southeast Asian language.
Many of us actually pick up another language. Some learn Tagalog, some learn Indonesian, I learn Vietnamese.
The fact that it's provided language and research grants to young Southeast Asians to study in a country that's not their own is a very important initiative because it takes people out of their comfort zones.
It has funded research projects by postgraduate students, masters and PhD students.
By providing support to scholars, from very senior scholar right down to very young people, providing them opportunities to work across to try to understand another country. So that itself is a very big task.
The idea was to bring in, for instance, a professor from the University of Gadjah Mada in Indonesia to spend a semester or a few months, let's say in Hanoi University, to teach.
With the regional cooperation, we can gather in a group, we can work on a certain topic, and we can have a chance to visit outside of my home country.
It is making a very important contribution to Southeast Asian studies in general through its publications and its conferences. It's showing that Southeast Asian knowledge can be produced from within the region.
Seasrep also developed specialized programs to achieve their vision.
You have people coming from different universities in the region and travel across Southeast Asia to study about one particular topic. There's this bonding that is actually very difficult to explain with words, but that kind of bonding will last for many years to come.
As the traveling classroom evolved, members of Seasrep thought, why don't we create a formal course? It's an introductory course to Southeast Asia. You can take it at any university in the region and it will be credited by your home university as a program. We entered into collaboration with the Korean Institute of Southeast Asian Studies. This is a specialized intensive training seminar on Southeast Asia.
Students from Korea and Southeast Asia joined the group, and they told me that they read a lot about Vietnam, but by directly experience with the Vietnamese, they learn more than what they read. So there's a kind of big difference between seeing and reading.
CEFIS is a South-South exchange program, South as distinct from the North, the more developed centers of the world. This was like a global developing country network, and it was a workshop designed to help PhD students in the process of writing their dissertation proposal. It was called Alternative Research Methods.
I was a former grantee. Seasrep hosted a workshop, but in that workshop, I met a lot of senior scholars. And that gave me the possibility to pursue Southeast Asia as a field of study.
We have had scholars from outside who have also taken part in these forums, given papers, so it gives you, apart from networking, an awareness of what kind of research is going on among scholars in Southeast Asia.
It is time to actually focus on reaching out to the young people through digital media.
E-journals will become the trend. It makes it more quickly accessible for both researchers and students.
Putting in an e-journal completes the entire menu of possibilities of Seasrep.
We should maintain the quality of work and so on. But yet at the same time, there is a need to be able to reach out to the non-scholarly part of the society.
Over the last 20 years, 2,502 participants from countries all over the world took part in the various programs Seasrep initiated. 1,606 scholars became alumni of the Seasrep Foundation.
Everyone who has taken part in the program, Southeast Asians who have come to understand and appreciate the idea of a region, the idea of a Southeast Asian, that to me is the reason for this success. Unimaginable learning, and it's an experience I wouldn't trade for any other.